Yo, welcome to the show, BroMob. We're your hosts, Chad and Brian. Today is August 26th. And BroMob, Brian's over here throwing around, is that a glow stick? What is this?
It is a orange highlighter.
Is this the Magic Forest? Where
Magical
you're just...
highlighting.
Ah, yes.
Yes.
Welcome to the show. BroMob, we've got some news today.
We got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
A lot.
Some crazy stuff happened over the weekend.
Yep.
And we got a lot to talk about it. So, we'll start it off with the main topic, and that is the wide receiver and tight end rankings revisited. So it's just Brian and I spitfiring through these again. Just letting you know what our top 20 wide receivers are, our top 12 tight ends, just to have that final prep for draft day. I know a lot of people, it was National Draft Day today on Sunday the 25th. But I know a lot of leagues that wait to draft until Labor Day weekend. So if you're still out there waiting, this should help you kind of rile up your wide receivers and tight ends. So, but speaking of National Draft Day, Brian and I, we had our League of Record draft, and man, I'm still pumped about it.
Feeling good.
Silence from Brian.
I'm feeling really good. Really good.
Your silence says otherwise.
Well, no, be honest with you, I was still looking at this highlighter, and I was just like, man, this thing is really bright. Sorry.
Jesus.
Distracted.
Yes, very distracted,
really,
like a cat.
Had a really great draft. Feel really great about it, and that's all I got to say.
Otherwise.
I don't know what else to say. I had the third overall pick. Started off the right way with Christian McCaffrey.
Right.
You can't really mess that up. Feeling pretty good about all the other stuff that happened after that too.
Yeah, I mean, the analytics on the site say otherwise. For whatever reason.
The deal. We're not even going to get into that, okay? All right, let's just pump the brakes. Yeah, pump the brakes. I'm going to
say it out loud. The website says Brian will be in 12th place.
It does. It does.
Not just right now, but throughout the whole league season.
Well, you know what? I gotta be honest with you. ESPN. So we hold our league of record on ESPN. Sleeper. We apologize. But anyway, the league.
We're working on them.
Is married. Yeah, we're working on them. The league's married to that site. So here's the deal. ESPN has this new thing on the main page. If you have an ESPN league, you'll know what we're talking about. And it's like an analytics piece that shows where you're at and how you rank. And it is 100% busted. I'm just ESPN. If anybody from ESPN's listening to this, which I know that all the top execs listen to us every week, it is busted. Fix it, because you have me at 12th and it's clearly not working. So let's get that fixed.
Let's just say I instantly got a phone call from Brian the moment he saw it. He's like, you need to see this because
it's ridiculous.
It's not right.
It's not right either. We talked about it. You're like, no.
It's true. No, you drafted the good team. Mine's way better, but it's pretty good.
We'll find out. I think you and I go head-to-head week 8.
Ooh. The listeners have to wait.
Yes,
till week 8. Rhyming up.
Wait to 8.
But I'm pretty happy, man. I went Nick Chubb, Dalvin Cook right off the bat. Just in my eyes, is going to be the strongest running back core in the league. It's a standard scoring league. So, BroMob, you can kind of already see that if it's standard, you always want to have that strength at running back. I've got it. I'm going to be dominating. So, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, confirming week 8, by the way. Absolutely going to dominate you. I want to look at our matchups right now. Should
we put an early bet on this?
Ooh, I'm going to smoke you, dude. I've got McCaffrey going up against San Francisco. Aaron Jones against Kansas City. That's going to be nasty. Mike Evans against Tennessee. Tyler Lockett against Atlanta. That might be a shootout.
I don't even need to look.
Man, I'm telling you. My tight end's on a bye. Damn it. You got no buys that week.
That's definitely going to hurt.
I'm gonna
You're in
hurt.
pain.
I'll hurt you. Nope.
You want to put a bet on this?
Getting that dubs. Let's wait a little bit. Our teams could be a lot different by that date.
Oh yeah,
But
listen to you.
we'll revisit. We'll revisit. It's
I
2
don't want
months
to do
away.
that. I don't want to bet yet.
2 months away.
I got to see if ESPN's wrong about me first.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they clearly are. We all know this. Come on, BroMob.
Who's
your favorite bro?
Of course. Well, BroMob, aside from the awesome draft that we just had, the good news is football is 1 week away. Brian and I are so excited, and we're also extremely excited to announce that starting next week, we are going to a twice weekly episode schedule to give you guys everything you need during the season. Episodes are going to be released on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. We're going to be talking about week-to-week analysis, the previous week's standouts and busts, waiver wire must-adds, and just so much more. I'm extremely excited. Brian's extremely excited. And we're hoping to get a lot more content out to the BroMob as the season goes on.
We just doubled the amount of bros that are going to be in people's ears. I mean, the content is going to double itself. That's what I like. So
yeah.
Tuesdays and Wednesdays are going to be hot, HOTT, and you got to listen. Week to week stuff. I'm gonna give you all the things you need to hear. Chad's gonna give you some stuff that makes you want to puke, and we'll week to week we'll talk about our intricate standings inside of our leagues and let you know how many wins I've got, how many losses Chad has, and it should be good stuff.
Yeah, it should be really good. Another big win here for you, BroMob, is that Brian and I are also working on Key to the Title. So keep your eyes there. We're going to be releasing the in-season prep version of KT3. So you're going to be having so much more information on there. All the draft prep will be going away once the season starts, and we'll be bringing in the in-season help. Get ready for it because there's going to be so much stuff there to help you out as well. So check out keytothetitle.com if you haven't already, and keep your eyes down low on the bottom of the page where you'll see the in-season prep. Brian and I are working hard on it. It's going to be really good stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I know there's a lot going into it. We're going to have a lot of good stuff. Start sits, waiver gems, weekly trade bait, all kinds of stuff. Just keytothetitle.com for sure. And side note, I just drew all over myself with this highlighter by accident. Pulled the cap off, wrote all, and it slipped out of my hand.
Today.
Drew all over my arm.
His brain has completely just sucked itself dry from the draft, so he's gonna be struggling for most of the night. Yep. So let's go ahead. Let's move on. We got so much to talk about. BroMob, be sure to follow along after the show by following us on Twitter and Instagram at FF Bros Podcast. Be sure to search the hashtag BroMob for so much information, so much news, so much shenanigans between Brian and I. It's a fun time there. Brian, let's get into the show.
Here's the news.
So let's start with possibly the biggest news I think I've ever seen in football. I am pretty depressed, mainly because he's on my dynasty team. But, ladies and gentlemen, star quarterback Andrew Luck, quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts, has announced his retirement. Yeah, we're not kidding. If you haven't seen this yet, Andrew Luck is retired. So, wow. There's so much that has been affected by this.
It's a massive ripple effect, and we'll get into that here in a second. But before we do, I want to speak for both of us here. I know you feel the same way. We wish Andrew Luck the best. Clearly, he's having some personal stuff related to health, and I think he had mentioned that just mentally the game and his health has just kind of beat him up, and it sounds like he was in a really rough spot mentally and physically, obviously. He's dealt with a lot of injuries over the last couple of years, and it's just put him mentally in a bad spot. So we hope that he is able to step away and really get the rest on his body that he needs and just enjoy his life. So give him a lot of credit for it's not easy to do what he just did. You've got a lot of people counting on you, and so, but he chose his family and his health first, and you can't really kick a guy for wanting to do that, in my opinion. So, right. Chad and I wish Andrew Luck the best going forward. And who knows? Maybe one day the door opens back up and he's able to step back in if he's cleared himself up and feels better. Who knows? But for now, retired, and that makes me sad.
Yeah, it makes me really sad too. One hell of a player. It was fun watching him in Indianapolis. He brought an energy to that team that really needed it when they lost Peyton Manning. So it was a bit of a shame to see the crowd, the home crowd, booing him as he walked out, considering how much he did for that team over the last 8 or 9 years that he's been with them. So, Luck, best wishes to you. Hope everything goes good. So, BroMob, what does this mean? What does this mean from a fantasy perspective? Because it's huge. There's a massive ripple effect here, all the way down from wide receivers to running backs to tight ends to defenses. Everything you can think of has been affected by this. So let's start with one of the bigger ones. The guy who's catching the balls from Mr. Luck himself, T.Y. Hilton. This hurts.
Yeah, I don't know. I know we moved him down. It's a downgrade across the board for the offense, right? Nobody is going to come in and do what Andrew Luck did. There's a reason he's an elite quarterback. Mm-hmm. So the loss of Andrew Luck is going to have a ripple effect across the entire offense. That includes T.Y. Hilton. So obviously you have to move him down. I still feel like he has tremendous fantasy relevance. So I like T.Y. I just think there's a lot of risk now. There's volatility risk. What I looked at as would be a weekly wide receiver 1, borderline wide receiver 2. He's now probably solid wide receiver 2, maybe even low end wide receiver 2. So
yeah,
but maybe and that's because the weekly volatility. I think there'll be weeks where he's just non-existent. And so that makes me a little nervous about him. So, but I still think Ty is fantasy relevant. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I agree. And I was actually really shocked that he dropped down into the 6th round for our league of record. I think it was just a matter of people didn't trust the situation. I know I was looking at him a few times, and I actually took his name off the piece of paper and put it right back on. It's too much risk.
I just think it's an overreaction. Yeah, he's definitely,
it really is.
The pendulum swings, so it's swinging too far. It'll hover back to where it probably should be. So should he have went in the 6th? No, probably should have went at least in the 5th or the 4th. But
yeah,
it's still it's going to create some opportunities for value. So you definitely want to still try to draft him, but you just have to ask yourself, like, on your team, like, where do you want to take that risk? If you don't need it, and there's somebody there that can provide equal value without the risk, you want to weigh that.
Perhaps the biggest risk that was added was the other guy catching balls from Andrew Luck, Eric Ebron, who had such a huge season last year. He was already going to be very touchdown dependent already, and now he gets a quarterback in Jacoby Brissett, who could be looking his way more often, but it also hurts his red zone percentages that he had last season, which were astronomical. Eric Ebron, we've dropped quite drastically as well. This one is probably a bit of an overreaction, but at the same time, a guy that was already going to be so touchdown dependent, now losing his top quarterback throwing to him, it's going to be quite the drop for Ebron.
Yeah, I agree.
And then I'm going to bring it up here with Marlon Mack as well. So Marlon Mack, I still like him, BroMob. Brian, I think you're a little bit lower on him than I am right now, but the team still has one of the best offensive lines in the league. They're going to block very well for him. Marlon Mack's going to get the ball a lot. What's going to probably happen is I don't see any droppage in carries or really any more carries than what he's going to see before. Instead, what you're going to see is instead of averaging maybe 4.6 or 4.7 yards per carry, he's going to average more like 4.4 or 4.3. So he's going to have less yardage tacked onto his carries that he had. What's that mean? That means less fantasy points for you guys. It's going to be some headaches week to week because they're going to be stacking that box quite often to stop Mac. And it also means that they might be bringing Nyheim Hines out there more often because the team's going to be passing the ball a lot to keep themselves in games. And because of that, Nyheim Hines is going to get used in that passing game where Marlon Mack definitely was not going to be. So it's going to hurt his value. I still see him as a top 20 type of player. he doesn't fall out of that category yet, but he's definitely moved down.
Yeah, so I mean, the last part is what worries me here. And I think Mac is talented. I think the offensive line is fine. However, if I'm a defensive coordinator, I'm now going to stack the box for sure. And I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to see if Brissett can beat me. And if Brissett beats me, then so be it. But I think the team gets into situations like 2 years ago where they're down and they're playing from behind a lot. And that means more Naeem Hines. Marlon Mack is on the field less, and therefore less touches, less carries, less yards. And so I think when he gets the ball, he'll be productive. I think he'll run the ball well. The offensive line should do well, but he's going to be running against tough packages. So Mack, that's the reason I think I'm a little more bearish on Mack than you are.
I can see that. And then also, again, because the team's passing more, you're going to see a dip in what could have been a type of sleeper pick there in the Colts defense. A lot of really big name players there, but they're going to be on the field quite a bit this coming season. So it's a defense that I'm going to try and stay away from now, just mainly due to the fact they're going to be on the field a lot, and there's going to be a lot of scoring opportunities against them. So let's move on. Houston, another huge bit of news. My goodness. Houston running back Lamar Miller went down with what would look to be a really bad injury during the game this weekend here. And it's actually been confirmed to be really bad. This is a torn ACL. It's what we feared. It's what the team feared. So Lamar Miller, one of those guys that we actually had as a value pick in KT3, just mainly due to the fact that he was gonna get over 200 carries. He's a starting running back for a team, and he was going super late in drafts, but he gone. And Guess who is in after just being traded? Mr. Duke Johnson, who literally just came in, 2 weeks ago? This is incredible.
Yeah, pretty much.
Duke Johnson's been looking for, So Duke Johnson's been looking for an opportunity. It's right in his lap.
Yeah, I mean, so Duke Johnson's going to fill in right now. We did I did a quick video for Duke Johnson and what this really means. And for now, he's the guy. And I say for now for a reason. Look, he's been with the team for 2 weeks, and they're going to want to probably bring in a veteran presence. Duke Johnson's more of a scat back. He's never really been a guy that carries the entire load. So I would be shocked if this is a Duke Johnson 15 to 20 carries a game type deal. I think it's likely they bring somebody in. I know Ajay Ajayi is on the market. Yep. I think there's rumors of Carlos Hyde being cut. So you could see a couple different things here. I mean, all the way down to Melvin Gordon, and a lot of people calling for his name to be traded. And this could be the Melvin Gordon story. So I don't know, Chad, what do you think?
I think the Melvin Gordon thing could be huge. I know you and I were just talking about this a little bit about the show, but if you're looking at this team and saying, hey, we're contenders right now, and all we need is that one piece to keep us moving, Melvin Gordon could easily be that piece. He's going to be expensive, but he'd be the piece. But if the team is looking to kind of just do a plug and play, maybe wait till next season to draft a running back in 2020, because they do have a lot of young players on the team, and it's built for long-term success there in Houston. But if they're just looking for veteran presence, you hit it right on the nail. Carlos Hyde being a roster bubble type of player. If he gets cut, they can bring him in. Some other players that are roster bubbles right now, TJ Yeldon from the Buffalo Bills. There's too many running backs in town there, so somebody's going to get cut. And then on top of that, Kenneth Dixon from the Ravens as well. So Dixon has been one of those guys that's been used in the passing game. He could get brought in, but it would just be weird to have both Kenneth Dixon and Duke Johnson on the same team. But he could be a veteran presence.
Yeah, I think Dixon would be a weird addition. I see that to be unlikely. I think the Hyde piece would be interesting. I think Jay Ajayi would be an interesting sign.
Yeah,
maybe both. Huge. Maybe both. Maybe they bring in a couple guys and They just rotate a backfield in there. Not what we want to hear for fantasy, but from a team standpoint, might be the case. I looked at the NFL draft is primed to be pretty heavy in running backs next year. Maybe they don't want to overspend. They do have some star wide receivers there. A quarterback that is going to be a continual huge star in the league. So, I mean, I could see them saying, we don't want to make a trade for Melvin Gordon, but man, that would be huge.
Do you think it hurts or improves Gordon's outlook if he's traded to the Texans?
I so the Texans offensive line is terrible,
Is garbage. Yeah.
and Gordon has had a history of injury, so this would be more hits to Gordon, more damage to him. I think it would actually be a downgrade for him. As much as I think that offense is good, I think Gordon would probably be injured more. Don't you? I mean, I don't know. That's my
Yeah, I
initial
can see it.
thought.
My biggest thing. So Gordon, though he's been good the last year. Last year he showed a lot of promise in his efficiency. He's actually not been the most efficient running back while being in the NFL. Gets stopped behind the line quite often. He dances a little bit too much back there to try and create plays. So might not be the greatest offense to be dancing in the backfield with that terrible offensive line. So in Houston, it could hurt him. I do see his red zone numbers being just as good as they would be in LA there with Houston, because they're going to be in the red zone a lot, and having DeAndre Hopkins out on the wide receiver slot will definitely open things up the middle there in the red zone. So I see it as a little bit of a downgrade. I am worried about the injury, but even production wise, I think it hurts his production going to Houston.
Yeah, and I would still see Duke Johnson involved. Like they brought
Exactly.
Duke Johnson in. They brought Duke in for a reason.
It would be the
And
same. It's
so,
Austin Eckler all over
yeah,
again.
yeah, right. It's exactly right. So yeah, I wouldn't. I actually don't like it.
Yeah, I'd rather him stay with Los Angeles. So we'll see what happens. Running back Ezekiel Elliott has apparently been offered a massive contract in the likes of between Todd Gurley and Le'Veon Bell type of money, which would make him the second highest paid running back in the league and actually league history. Now we're just playing a waiting game, right? I mean, I think it's crazy if he doesn't accept it, but you never know.
So the other side to this coin, Chad, is Tony Pollard looked good again.
Yeah, he did.
So I mean, he's averaged 4.3 yards per carry in the preseason so far.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know who he reminds me of, and I know I don't. Before I say this, I understand that this is just a comparison. I'm not saying he's this guy, but when he
boy.
runs, he reminds me of Alvin Kamara.
Oh no,
He does.
BroMob.
I see. I'm just saying I see
not
Alvin
saying he is
Kamara
him.
in him. I understand. Yes, don't turn the podcast off. I'm not saying he is an Alvin Kamara running back. I'm just saying he reminds me of him. He's got the style of run. It's very, very fast. And so I see a lot of Kamara in him. But there's other things that Kamara does that I obviously don't see in him. So I'm not saying that he is on that level, but one of the areas that Zeke is going to be better is in the pass blocking. Zeke is probably one of the most rounded backs, if not the most well-rounded back in the league. So, you want to sign him. I think they do sign him by week 1, but I'm just saying, every time Pollard runs well, it hurts Zeke's case.
Yeah, I think Pollard running well is indicative to how good that offensive line is with Travis Frederick being back.
That's right.
Yeah. So when Zeke comes back, or I still believe he does, we got the bet. Somebody's hand is getting warm here soon.
Bring it.
Definitely not going to be mine. When Zeke does come back, I think he's going to have himself a monster season. That offensive line is going to open up some big holes for him. I'm looking forward to it as a Cowboys fan. His fantasy owners who have already drafted him, I'm sure they're looking forward to it as well. So they're hoping for it. So let's move on here. New York wide receiver Sterling Shepard is a good to go, quote unquote, for week 1. This is great news, actually. I mean, a team that's not going to be very good, but they need to throw the ball to somebody because there's literally nobody else. Sterling Shepard has some really good value those first 4 weeks of the season with Golden Tate being suspended. So Sterling Shepard, a late round steal almost for teams. Eli Manning's comfortable with them. He's been in the offense for some time now. Sterling Shepard's comfortable there. So he's a talented wideout. He's not necessarily a wide receiver 1 or anything like that for most teams, but he's going to be a really good flex play for you from week to week, and I think he's going to be a plug and play for the first 4 weeks.
I love him. I absolutely love him. I think he's going to be a good grab this year.
And then finally, the Arizona Cardinals have officially signed. I know it's been talked about for almost a month now. He came in, nothing happened, disappeared, came back. They've been talking for the last week to him as well. They've officially signed veteran wide receiver Michael Crabtree to a 1-year deal that is worth $3.25 million, which is it's a pretty big deal for a veteran presence at wideout. That type of money makes me believe the guy's going to play and they're going to use him in the offense. They got a lot of players there, but they definitely needed this depth after placing their the 4th-round pick Hakeem Butler in IR.
Yeah, and I think too, the team is trying to find ways to get the defenses to not load the box and send blitz packages heavily after Kyler Murray. So yeah, so they're gonna spread the offense out a little bit. This is, I think, a move and a tilt towards that direction, and it's a trusted. I mean, Michael Crabtree's got some hands. And now you got 3 guys, him, Fitz, and Kirk that can catch the ball and catch it well. And so I think that's another reason why they brought him in.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of 4 wide receiver type of formations here. So you're going to have formations where Christian Kirk and Michael Crabtree on the outside, and playing in the slot, you got Larry Fitz and rookie Andy Isabella playing in the slot. It's going to be a dangerous wide receiver core there. It's going to work. It's just a matter of, does Kyler Murray, is he too raw? Is he too fresh this rookie season? Or is he going to catch on real quick? Is that offense going to catch on real quick and move on? So it's going to be interesting.
And I'll tell you too, Isabella is no joke. He's looked great.
He really is. Yeah, he's good.
I mean, so far so good with the wide receivers. The big thing is Kyler Murray had a really rough game week 2. Week 3, better. A little bit of a rough patch here or there, but for the most part, better. So we'll see. I mean, I think they're running a very vanilla offense right now. They don't want to tilt. Yeah. They don't want to give away anything that they have to. So the real test is week 1 and 2. We'll see.
Agreed. All right, Brian, let's talk some rankings. All right, BroMob. This week is going to be a fun one. We've got the wide receivers and we got tight ends. Some really big names here, some players that are going to definitely help you towards that BroMob championship. So we don't have all day to talk about them, Brian. So let's just get right into it. Let's start with the wide receivers, and we'll go from number 1 to 5. Number 1 being Mr. DeAndre Hopkins. Oh, I love that song, man. It gets me going.
Absolutely. It's a great song.
DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams, Michael Thomas, Tyreek Hill, and Odell Beckham Jr. We got rounded out the top 5 there. And Brian, there's not a name there I don't like out of the top 5. There's not a name there I'm not trusting out of them all. Is there somebody that you're trusting the most? Is somebody that you're really looking forward to drafting?
Well, so Hopkins and Adams are lock. I mean, you can't go wrong with either of them. Same thing probably for Michael Thomas. And all 3 in KT3 tier 1 wide receivers, the tier breaks at Tyreek Hill, and I think for good reason. That's where the risk increases, right? So Tyreek Hill has that the ability to take the top off, right? He can single-handedly win you a fantasy week with those deep balls and taking them to the house. I mean, he's done that time and time again, right? But then he has those weeks where he disappears, so he can be very volatile. So there's more risk there, less consistency. OBJ played 16 games in the last 3 seasons, so I believe that's the total,
yeah. not full.
Yeah,
it's just total over the last
3 seasons, 16 games. So a lot of injury risk with OBJ. Mm-hmm. Love the talent. When he's healthy, he's arguably, if he could stay healthy and prove that he could stay healthy, he's arguably up there with Adams and Hopkins. So the talent is there. Can he stay healthy? That's the question. So again, risk. So I think that's the reason why there's a break there. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I agree. The other risk with OBJ is, even though it's exciting, he's on a new team. Historically speaking, wide receivers that move to new offenses and new teams don't produce that first year. OBJ is a different beast here because the guy is just a stud and a star, but keep that in your mind whenever you're drafting him. Just he might not produce as high as you're thinking because it is a new offense. So, Brian, let's move on to the next 5 here, 6 to 10.
Yep, absolutely. So at number 6, starting with Julio Jones. Number 7, Juju Smith-Schuster. And then number 8, Mike Evans. And number 9, Antonio Brown. Then finishing off the top 10 is Keenan Allen. So, Julio, Juju, Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, Keenan Allen. Of those 5, Chad, who's your favorite?
I love Juju. I think I'm probably... So Juju has an opportunity here to be targeted a lot. Antonio Brown's gone, and some other names there on the offense are gone as well. So Juju has an opportunity to possibly be the most targeted, if not top 2 targeted wide receivers in the league. Historically speaking, when that happens,
big
the
numbers.
Wide receivers are a top 3 fantasy wide receiver for you. Juju has a really big opportunity here. So I love Juju, and actually a sneaky sleeper pick here too. I wouldn't say sleeper because he's this high, but a sneaky pick, Antonio Brown. He's still the same receiver. He's very diva-esque. I get that. He's a headache from time to times, but he's never been a headache for fantasy teams. And he still has a quarterback who can throw. He's not as talented as Ben, but I'd say he's more accurate. And you can definitely look at the statistics from last year. And Antonio Brown loves an accurate QB that can just throw to him wherever he is. So I still really like Antonio Brown as well.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I would say to add to that, one other person would be Mike Evans, a guy I drafted today. Absolutely love him. And I think even more so this year, that team with new coaching, new direction, new offense should be electric. So far, they've looked decent, although Jameis Winston has looked a bit off in the preseason. When he's under pressure. This last game, they were blitzing the living daylights out of him, and so he just
was trying to kill him, I think.
yeah. It's and so look, he was sacked 5 times in the first quarter, I think. So it was it didn't look good, and that rattled him a bit, and I think it threw his game off. So look, I think that'll get itself straightened out, and I think they'll be fine. But I really like Mike Evans' story this year.
All right, let's move on to the next guys. Who could this be? Coming in at number 11. Adam Thielen.
Love him.
Adam Thielen, I still love the guy. If you've watched in the preseason, Kirk Cousins goes to him a lot. He's one of the more surefire things on that team. Stefan Diggs is good, but Adam Thielen's great. Let's move on here. We got Robert Woods coming in at number 12. Brandon Cooks coming in at number 13.
It's me, King Julian.
Julian Edelman at number 14. And rounding it all out, I already mentioned him, Stefan Diggs at 15. This is a really, really jam-packed. We got him at wide receiver or at tier 5. Adam Thielen starts in tier 4 there, but this is a really jam-packed tier with some guys that if you take that chance on them, they could be league winners for you. Brian, is there somebody in here that you don't like as much as the others?
I don't know that there's anybody that I don't like. I would say Diggs probably has the ability to bust more than any of them. I don't think he's going to be a bust, but I'm just saying he probably has the potential to be. That's just my personal feeling on him. I think he'll still be fantasy relevant, but I do think that team's going to run the ball a lot more. And so I think you saw that in the preseason game this week with Dalvin Cook breaking one deep, right? Ooh. But Thielen, I mean, he looked good. Thielen's going to be great. He's going to be that perfect receiver for PPR. Should be a stud. I really like Robert Woods this year. I don't know. I mean, I like him every year, but I really like him. So I think Woods, Cooks, Edelman, these guys are all solid. All right. And then rounding off our top 20 is going to be number 16, Tyler Boyd. Number 17, Cooper Kupp. Amari Cooper at 18. Josh Gordon, the new addition, at 19. And Chris Godwin at 20 to finish it all up. So we have Boyd, Cooper Kupp, Amari Cooper, Josh Gordon, and Chris Godwin. So, Chad, of these 5, obviously some deep names here. Who don't you want to touch?
I'm not touching Amari Cooper. And it's weird because I think in almost every fantasy draft I've been in this year, I've either been the 10th pick or the 11th pick, which is weird. But in each of those drafts, Amari Cooper is always staring at me in the 3rd or 4th round, and I never take him. Even though he's probably the value pick there, I'm too scared of that plantar fasciitis in the foot is no joke. It's going to hurt him into the season, and it's going to affect his play. If you haven't listened yet, listen last week to our episode where we talk with Dr. Jesse Morse from the Fantasy Doctors, and he talks about how that's going to affect his play as well. On top of that, he was already a bust candidate from us anyway. He's a very boomer bust type of player when he plays. He can win you week to week, but then outside of that, every once in a while, he'll just throw up duds of 3 points, 2 points, another 3-pointer. So I'm not touching Amari Cooper.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I've actually made a point to avoid him this year. I would say the other guy that has some risk here is Josh Gordon. Obviously, he has had moments in his history in the league where obviously he's suspended or he's missed games due to suspension issues or just having to step away. So that's a risk to me that I'm not willing to take this early in the draft. And so I like Josh Gordon. I like his story. If he can stay healthy, he's on a team that can do well for him, but I'm not interested.
Yeah, agreed. All right, Brian, let's move on to our tight ends where we're going to give the top 12. And I'll start it off here with the top 6 at number 1.
And your name is? I'm Thor. You're Thor? Well, it hurts.
We've got Thor Travis Kelce coming in at number 1, the best nickname in the world. Followed up with Zach Ertz at number 2 and George Kittle number 3. That's the big 3 everybody refers to. But right outside of that, we've got O.J. Howard, Hunter Henry, and Evan Ingram, who, quite frankly, I would call the next big 3 because they've got some really big potential as well. So, Brian, let's talk into that a little bit. What do I mean by next big 3?
So these are guys that have the potential to be on the level of Ertz and Kelce and Kittle, right? But they either haven't had the opportunity, either due to offense or due to injury or whatnot, but they have the upside potential to get up there.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the guys that I have a lot of excitement for coming back from injury, he's kind of been gone from football for some time. Hunter Henry, huge opportunity there. Phillip Rivers has proved time and time again that he loves him. And he loves to use him towards the end zone there. And Hunter Henry, he's a good tight end, man. He actually reminds me of Zach Ertz. Same type of player. He's well-rounded. He's very good route runner. And he seems to be open whenever you need him to be open all the time. So I'm really excited for Hunter Henry. And I love his draft price in the 6th round too, considering that you've got O.J. Howard going around sooner. And Zach Ertz, like I said, same type of player going in the 3rd. I love the value of the 6th round for Hunter.
I love that. So in our draft today, I had a chance to draft him in the 7th round, chose to take Miles Sanders instead, thinking that maybe I could get him the sneak around. I had the long end of the snake that I had to get back to me. And if I could do one thing over again, I would take him there. I ended up with Mark Andrews in the 11th round, though. I'm not really sad, but, man, I really like Hunter Henry this year.
I think that's your guy. Yeah, that's your guy. And I was very surprised when you didn't take him. I think you took Miles Sanders in spite of me because I wanted him.
I don't know. I saw Miles Sanders. He was the last one available in that tier, and I was just like, take him. You know, you can't. That running back depth is so important because there's so many injuries, and you know, I think he'll be a legit running back this year. So, but yeah, Hunter Henry solid, Evan Ingram solid. The next 6 to round out our top 12 is number 7, Jared Cook. Number 8, we have Vance McDonald. We have Austin Hooper at number 9, and then all the way down at number 10, Eric Ebron. So we slid him down quite heavily, down to number 10. This is, again, to reiterate what we thought from our conversation in the news segment. We think the loss of Luck really affects him, but he's still a top 12 tight end at this point in our rankings. And number 11, we have Delaney Walker, and then wrapping up the top 12 is David Njoku. So, Chad, some solid tight ends here. All of these guys should have some really great fantasy relevance. Who do you like amongst this group the most?
So here's the weird thing, and some people might not agree with this, but Delanie Walker, though he has an ADP of 11th round right now, has not been getting drafted in any of the leagues that I am in. I think people have forgotten about the fact that he is a very solid tight end that gives you a really good floor week to week. Marcus Mariota, so long as he's the quarterback there, loves to throw to him. And we've seen it in the preseason already. He's already caught a touchdown from Marcus Mariota. He's back and he's healthy. Delanie Walker not being undrafted, I think, is just insane. So if you can steal him at the end of your draft, the last round, do it all day. I think it's huge.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. So I would say another guy on this list that I absolutely love is Austin Hooper. So you have Austin. Yep. We have Austin Hooper going in the 12th round. I think in some cases in the 13th. So I think Austin Hooper is going to be a steal in this year's draft. So if you can target Austin Hooper, great. I would definitely recommend try to get him as well.
I mean, we're talking about a guy that was a top 10 tight end last year. He produced very well for fantasy owners, and that's with Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley on the team. So nothing's changed. He's still on the same offense. Hooper's been getting progressively better every year, and sometimes it just takes tight ends longer to get into a top tier type of thing. But Hooper's a good tight end.
No, I agree completely. I love him.
Is there anybody on this list that you don't love so much? We got them ranked here. We like them. We both like all of these players. But is there a guy here you're not as confident in?
Yeah. So actually, I would say Njoku is a little rattling to me. I mean, I think there's a lot of mouths to feed in Cleveland, and I think if you don't feed one of those mouths, that in particular, I think it could be an issue. So,
especially one of them, yes.
Yeah, early in the season, I don't think it'll be an issue, but as the season progresses, I think it might become an issue. So, I think Njoku is somebody that I have purposely stayed away from. What about you?
Not because of talent either. It's just opportunity, right? I mean, there's just so many. Yeah. There are so many mouths to feed on that offense. So Njoku, I mean, he's a physical specimen. If you look at him, he's huge. So it's not because he's a bad tight end. It's because there's just so much more around him.
Yeah, I agree completely.
All right, BroMob, well, that's going to round out our top 12 tight ends. If you all want to check out our rankings for both tight ends, wide receivers, and even our QBs, which, by the way, have changed. Andrew Luck is no longer our number 2, in case you're all wondering. And our running backs as well. Lamar Miller, of course, not on there with a torn ACL. So if you guys want to go check it out, we've updated everything. We're updating this almost daily now with KT3. Brian and I are on there constantly trying to help out the BroMob, especially in this time. So go check it out, keytothetitle.com, to check all of that out today. And that's also going to end our show for this week, BroMob. Be sure to tune in on Tuesday and Wednesdays going forward to stay up to date on your fantasy football world and to gather any insights on how to dominate your fantasy football league.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget, head over to jointhebromob.com. You can become an official BroMobster. Support the podcast. I know Chad and I have said this many times. We are an independent podcast. It is literally just the two of us. So everything you see, our website, the social media, everything, rankings, KT3,
articles.
It's Chad and I by ourselves doing it. Mostly me. Chad just sits on a couch and yells and points at the screen. But head over to jointhebromob.com. Any support you would give us is greatly appreciated.
Brian also needs some heavy beauty cream because he's got quite the ugly mug to get fixed here. So, BroMob, please help him out. If you're not on Apple Podcasts, we're also on Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, anywhere you can possibly find a podcast, we exist there. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at FFBros Podcast, and be sure to check out our website, thefantasyfootballbros.com, for all kinds of articles, rankings, and so much more. See you next week, BroMob.
Bye, everybody.